Hey there. I'm really glad you're here in the Sink and Swim podcast. Before we get into today's episode, a little housekeeping. I want to help you get oriented just so you know where you are, how the space works, and how to take care of yourself while you're listening. So first, a gentle invitation. As you listen or watch, see if you can listen not only with your ears or watch with your eyes, but also by noticing what's going on inside your body. And that may change throughout the whole episode. And as you notice, permission to know you don't need to fix anything, you don't need to analyze it, but just notice it. Some parts of you might feel seen. Some might feel exposed. Some parts might feel resistance or concern about what we're saying. Other parts might feel relief, encouragement, or they might want to reach through and help us or hug me if it's just me talking. So notice how you feel as you settle in, whether you're listening in a quiet place or out on a walk or driving or in the middle of something, and also how you feel when you're done. That noticing is a really sacred work. And after you listen to the episode and notice, if you find yourself feeling the tug to stay connected to me or to the podcast or to any of my guests, please make sure to check the show notes and also make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening right now. Now is a great time to go hit that subscribe button. And I'm not asking that for numbers, but because it lets the episodes find you without you having to remember or keep track. And if you like having something you can read or revisit or sit with more slowly, you can also subscribe to my newsletter, and that's in the show notes as well. You can also find clips and highlights on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Substack, and Facebook. All different platforms, different doorways to the same house. So choose whatever feels easiest for you. At any point today, later, or months from now, if something in you starts whispering, I feel this nudge inside. My life or my work looks really good on paper. Everything I've built should feel good, but that's not how I feel. And sometimes that can be a sign that it's time for deeper support and reorientation. And that's where working with me in a soul story mapping session comes in. It's a private one-on-one session, not a discovery call, not a sales conversation. It's an actual coaching space to map what's true for you right now and get clear on what wants to shift. Even if you don't do anything with it, we're just going to map it out. All of the links to all of those things live in the show notes, so you don't have to hold any of this in your head, but I'm saying it now to orient you in case you're listening and something comes up and you want to know where to go next. Okay, let's drop into today's episode now. Welcome back to the Sink and Swim podcast. Today's guest is such an amazing human who I adore. It's Mbong Henry, who is a physical therapist specializing in her phrase, which I love so much, sporty pelvises. She's a health coach helping moms build healthy habits, although I think it's like way more than that. She is a wife, a mom of 3, and as of her 40s, an Olympic weightlifter who just competed at nationals, by the way, and has great stories about that. She's been through lots of things in her physical therapy career. She once worked in a hospital system and left that. She built her own practice, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, figured out the lesson that is sometimes really hard to learn and actually embody in practice, that like being really authentically herself was like the most strategic business plan she could have. And I'm really glad she's here to tell you her story. So welcome, Mbong. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's so fun to be here.
All right. So let's get right into it. You started your career working in a hospital system. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
My very first job was acute care. In 2009.
Okay. Yeah. It's a setting I said I would never work in, and I ended up working there. It's so funny. So you worked there and then eventually left the hospital system. And before, you've kind of described it as working there, you were hitting your head on the wall until the wall won. So what was actually happening? Like, what led to that? What did the day-to-day feel like? And, what actually happened when you were like, oh, I got to get out of here?
Yeah. So from the time I was like a fledgling new grad, I always wanted to be in teaching environments. So I worked in acute care, and then transitioned to outpatient in a teaching hospital. Somewhere from there went to like corporate PT, and then found my way back into the hospital system, wanting to not see 4 people an hour, right? That's something that was common in that corporate setting, that outpatient
Why would you
setting,
not want that?
right? And I was like, carry all the pelvises at once. It's like a spinning 6 plates, all with 2 hands.
Oh my God, that would be a great Instagram reel, by the way, like spinning 6 pelvises.
But then, working in the hospital system, I loved my coworkers. They had structure, mentoring. The challenge was, and it's interesting to think of like that experience in the South, right? North Carolina hospitals. And I worked in South Carolina hospitals compared to New England. And it might have been the political climate at the time, but I had a lot of tense patient interactions, let's just say. Yeah. So I had a situation where a patient on the eval was yelling at me. And before the yelling happened, he was making comments about my name, about me in a way that did not appear to be innocently curious.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is typically when someone is kind of undermining like my race, my ethnicity, my gender. And he may have not meant that, but that's how it like felt to me. Anyways, when he started to yell, I told him our session was done. And I opened the door and I walked out. The reason also why that was I felt like I needed to put a firm boundary to that, where if that had happened 2 months before, I probably wouldn't have. We had a violent incident in the clinic where someone lost their life months before. And I wasn't crazy about how my department handled how therapists who saw someone die, how they handled that. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, I felt like I needed to stand up for myself. So I left the room and I went to the break room, and my coworker was like, what happened? Are you okay? I was like, yeah, I just told a patient he's got to go. He did leave. And I'd never done that before. And there's few moments in my career where I was like, why am I even doing this in the first place? And that was a big one. It was right before the pandemic happened. And yeah, so I was very much disenchanted with like being in the hospital system and not feeling supported by my managers, because big hospitals have policies about how patients should act. There's like big signs. Mm-hmm. And I did not feel supported. Yeah, I did not feel supported. Anyways, fast forward, the pandemic happened and our clinic shut down. And because it's a big state hospital, it made sense that the clinic was shut down and the resources go to like the front lines, right? Mm-hmm. What did not make sense, physical therapists, pelvic PTs were considered essential employees. And we were dispersed to different parts of the hospital community, which is perfectly reasonable. It was kind of like a wartime mentality. Like, you're going to go open boxes and sort gloves and sanitizer, and you'll be like a nurse's assistant. My husband's also an essential employee. So when I was told that some of the positions we might have include like working nights as a nurse's aide, and I was like, I've got butts at home I need to wipe. I think, nurse's aides, that's a phenomenal job. But I was like, it doesn't make sense for me, like if my husband's called in an essential employee, for me to be finding childcare for a night shift. So I gave my letter of notice, and my manager at the time, we talked through it, and she's like, don't leave when this is over, you can come back. So I was like, okay, but I'm not going to find childcare for these positions, and daycare's closed and school was closed. I was remote teaching my kindergartner. It's just like, yeah. It's crazy looking back on like how much life like changed for that short period, and we're like normal. But I came back and was able to do telehealth. We kind of like trickled in the PTs to the clinics, and then I had a PRN position, and then at some point they're like, we need you to reduce your hours, and I was like, at this point I'm paying for childcare to come in PRN for you to tell me to do less PRN? I think not. Right. And I had just found out I was pregnant with my third, and I get pretty sick with hyperemesis. So I was like, this is a good time to like not have to call out of work because I'm barfing my brains out. So I left.
Don't think you want me doing that there. I don't know. No. Maybe not the best thing. Wow. Okay. First of all, you were already disenchanted. You were already not supported. Let me just make sure I got the timeline right. This incident, which we could probably call it, happened with a patient. And I'm just so grateful that in that moment, you had the wherewithal, the self-loyalty, the capacity in your system to say, no, we aren't doing this. You have to leave. Like that alone is its own podcast episode. Like, I'm like, damn, the courage. But it may not have felt like courage in the moment, obviously. And there's just so much that speaks to your preloaded character, and anything that you'd been through. And that was a big moment, I feel like not just for you, but like for like generations before you, and especially being in the American South,
Yeah.
like just really, really, really a strong moment and probably felt horrible. Right. And I also like just so want to honor that your people in your clinic, you included, had been through a big trauma. Before that, the clinic, it's like they were handed on a silver platter the opportunity to show up for y'all, and they didn't. And there's so much to unpack with why that happens. And, I have compassion for busy, overworked hospital systems. And either way, you were like, well, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to wipe butts when I've got butts of my own to wipe. And maybe sometime in your life that would have felt like a really selfish thing to say. Would you agree? Or you're sort of like, no, I never would have done that.
No, yeah, I was the sort of employee who goes above and beyond. I still go above and beyond, but we're working on why I don't need to do that. But even like a job before that hospital job, I remember talking to we had like a clinical educator who was also like a regional manager. He's like, oh, you're too hard on yourself. But I was like, these are the productivity standards you're asking me to do. You're asking me to build this. You're asking me to see this many people. And that was another job that I gave my notice twice. So the first time, we worked through it. And then the second time, it was no. It's pregnant with my second kid. Pregnancy does things to me, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Helps you realize what's important in the moment. And
yes.
So yeah, to your question, yeah, I typically would like try to go above and beyond to be the best that someone's asking of me, because why not? Why would I show up as less?
I mean, obviously, and there's so many strengths in that character trait. It gets used against us. It gets either leveraged, almost without our consent, or we just don't realize we're doing it. But yeah, well, good for you for listening to the call, from your body, from your heart, from your intuition, and like picking it up. Obviously, the expression you needed to hit your head against the wall before the wall won. Those are pretty big things that happen that got your attention. And sometimes that's what happens with us. It's got to hurt just enough until you finally are like, all right, that's enough. That's just human nature. We have the capacity to put up with so much until we break sometimes. Yeah. You moved into building your business, Radiance PT. I feel like this is when we stumbled together onto the scene. This is like this part of the story where our stories merged. I'm like, I so remember these hospital stories a little bit and all of that, but I don't remember the details of them. So I'm glad you told us. So Radiance didn't grow overnight. It's doing great now, obviously. So tell us about what you learned about being a business owner. And, we were working together at a time on like you growing your business, but what did you find was the best strategy for doing that?
Yeah. So learning that, I think I do what a lot of new business owners, at least in healthcare, do. You try to recreate what you left. So I would try to see people when it was convenient to them and have like as many hours as available. And then realize like, no, like if I need to pick up my kid by 4, like I need to be like not in my car at 4, right? The session needs to be done when it's done. So learning even just like that time boundary for, making sure I can give undivided attention to the person who wants my help, and also my own health needs, like make it to the gym so I can have energy to take care of my kids. I can be really silly and goofy. And I think saying yes to some of my like the business marketing, networking stuff, not everybody matches my goofy vibes. And so just learning that, okay, that's okay to say no to. And that's all right. Like it's okay if they probably don't think about me as much as I think about that. They're going to be fine.
Yes.
They'll find another person for their monthly or quarterly sponsorship. And even with like wanting to help pregnant athletes, recognizing not every banner or organization that has pregnant or mom on it, I don't need to be a part of that. And same because that also was tricky. And probably like last year, I had someone reach out to me. She's like, "Oh, you're an influencer. We're looking for influencers to reach moms." And I was like, "I'm not an influencer. I consider myself, an expert, and people should come to my office because I can help them." But I also told her, I was like, and like I have like 6 organizations in any given moment asking me to like sponsor them, and I'm a small one-woman practice, so I love that they think like I'm this massive tentacle, this massive entity with all these tentacles. But I was like, why don't you call? We have like 5 big hospital systems, like
Mm-hmm.
we have many employees. Um, those are options too. So that's where I've like, yeah, those labels or identities, I think putting people in a box
Yeah.
can be helpful for some things, but not always when it comes down to even like the values I want to be living out with my patients. Like I want people who like want help and not just like a checklist of exercises. You can go to YouTube for that,
Yeah.
actually. But
YouTube's a
if you
great
want to,
physical therapist.
yeah, and I do too, actually.
Same.
But yeah, the moms who are like, yeah, I had someone say, she said, before she ever became a mother, she made a commitment to making sure she could take care of herself. I help people who aren't moms too, and they're like, yeah, no one's ever taught me about this part of my body, and I'm trying to connect more intimately with my spouse, and I have trauma that we just cannot move past, and it's my pelvic floor, right? So those people who are like really curious about how to help themselves, tend to be a good fit, whether or not they're a mom, pregnant, or an athlete. So yeah, anyways, just recognizing, just like me, like I often get put into a box for all the different facets that I might embody, but I'm not just one thing.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Welcome to the Boxless Being podcast. That's what we're going to start calling it. That's what I call myself. Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, speaking of being not put into a box, because this is such a beautiful part of your personality and expansiveness, is that moment where you say, and again, it's one of those like boundary moments, internal boundary, and then it also turns into your behavior externally of like, you know what, silly people who can't be with my silly and goofy, that's okay. They're all right. I love the line. They don't think about me the way I think about me, There's a line from Schitt's Creek where Alexis, the sister, says that to David, the character, like, people aren't thinking about you the way you're thinking about you. Sometimes we need to be reminded of that. But when we can kind of get off of that and stay in, like, interestingly, you're staying in your lane, yet also not getting boxed into it, I love the part too about not every organization with a banner that says pregnancy and postpartum and pelvic and whatever I need to be a part of. Like, I know how I feel about those types of situations, but how do you, in the moment, when you're like, someone reaches out to you, or like you see there's this group of people who serve pregnant women and they meet, once a month. And is there like a conflict ever? Is it ever like, oh, I kind of should, but maybe I don't want to? Like, how does that go inside of you? Just for people who are like, what does she mean? She just says no. I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. The conflict happens in different ways. An example, I feel like it just came up. There's like a community meeting for birth workers to come have community and like nurture themselves and like self-care. And I'm like, to come hanging out with you would be nice, but that doesn't feel like self-care to me. So like, that's like the filter I put it through my brain is like, that's a no.
Yeah, right.
But like, thank you for the invite. I'll come one day. Like, I'm already like, I think it was the time they were hosting. It was like when I was like lifting at a certain time on Tuesdays. I was like, that is the thing for me. So that was a no. Yeah, I'll be honest, like sometimes there is a little bit of FOMO, but then I recognize the times where I said yes, and that did not bring me the joy or the plethora of patience that it was like,
Yeah,
that was dangled in front of me. It did not.
yeah. So you lean on past experiences of looking back on times where, for lack of a better phrase, you kind of, I don't know that regret's the word, but you learned the hard way, right? That wasn't right. It didn't give me what I expected. Or it's like you're so clear on what is a yes for you. I love this example of leaving your self-care to do self-care. That doesn't make sense, like you've already got something that's working for you. Why would you go do something else that also requires more effort and energy and, peopling and things like that? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you for sharing that. Because sometimes I think for me, when I see someone who is like involved in every organization and their name is on every board of directors, or they're a volunteer at every single thing, or they're showing up at everything, this might sound weird, but I get suspicious. And it's less about like, I don't trust this person. And it's more like, man, girl, usually woman, like, you don't have to say yes to everything. There's just this part of me that's like, man, like, I hope it's all coming from a place of like genuine enjoyment. And I just see, you see the memes. There's one out right now about moms that's like, you can't do this and this and this and this and do your hair and put on your makeup and feed kids and get to bed on time, take care of yourself and garden and read books. You just can't. So let's let go of the propaganda. And I feel like it's such an example of witnessing other women sometimes who've said yes to literally everything and their name is on every list. I see it in the PT world where their name is on every course, they're on every conference. And I'm like, I have that thought of how do you do it all? And then I'm like, well, I think I kind of know how they do it all, not from judginess. Again, it's just kind of like, oh man, I hope she's getting as much out as she's putting in of this.
I totally concur. And it's interesting. I have a lot of my clients who ask me, how do you do it all? And I'm very honest. I'm like, I don't do nearly as much as people think.
I know.
Even my neighbors, my sweet neighbors. Yeah. They're like, how do you do it all? Like, I don't. My house is not clean. It's not. And it's like, that's okay with me. And then I cleaned my house because it's like, well, I could do 5 minutes, but it's like,
yeah,
like I've learned to pick and choose what's important to me. Because the load is actually, it became really apparent to me when we were on vacation in the mountains. And all I had to do was like, occasionally prep a meal with the help of my husband and kids. I didn't have to do anything else. And I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. But then if you ask me to like check a backpack for homework and pack some snacks and like all the 20 other things that the moms might just assume they should do without helping, like that is too much. And anyway, so yeah, it's just like the expectations to do it all, I think, is a big disservice. Women, moms, men, everybody.
I feel like it's like if you make peace with actually not doing it all, not having it all, not, I love this. It's like the mom entrepreneur. It's like, you can have it all. You can have the business. You can be a good mom. You can have work-life balance and take care of you. Girl power, there's this subtle like spread yourself thin, shape shift, kill yourself message underneath that. And I think it's not subtle, actually. It's quite literal and we all hear it and feel it. And when you make peace with actually, no, I can't. Then actually it's like paradoxically your energy shifts around it. You're more relaxed and then it gives off the image that you're doing it all. Does that make sense? It's like, I feel like when you just relax into it and you aren't trying to do it all, you look even more like you are.
That makes sense. Yes.
But just because you're relaxed about it, right? Yeah, totally. It's like people are reading your energy and misassigning it to the amount of things you're doing versus how you feel as you do it. And I feel like what you're saying is your values are going to be about how you feel while you do it, right? Like, and I'm curious about how you know whether it's inside of you or there's a signal in your, like what your family says to you, or like how things show up. How do you know when you've drifted from listening to yourself on what feels right?
Yes. I've learned this, or still learning this. When it doesn't feel fun. Yeah. So I experienced that with like weightlifting last year at like the gym I was going to. Like I remember driving up and I was like, something feels off. Like this doesn't feel fun like it had felt. And it was hard to put my finger on it until like months later. But yeah, when I start to notice, I've given my life more space to be able to discern what like my body's telling me. So like if it's fear, am I excited? I'm like, or like this is a spidey sense where like this is like a situation that I need to be astute about. And because fun is like a strong barometer for me. And there's different levels of fun, right? My fun is not always like on 100% one end of the barometer. Sometimes it's like a quiet, we're smiling on the inside because we're tired.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, that's what I like, having fun and enjoy. Those are like my top values. So if I'm noticing a situation, I'm like, no, this is not something to work through and just like move on. This may be something to like address.
Yeah. Yeah, you've done a good job of clocking the sensations of fun and joy. And the silly goofy vibe goes with that, obviously. I can agree with that because when I look around, sometimes I actually look at doing this, like what I've been doing, and it might feel fun, but when I kind of think about it, I'm like, you know what? I haven't felt playful in a couple weeks. Like playful Julie hasn't had a seat at the table. And that's my signal when I'm like, I think I've drifted a bit. Life's become a little serious. And sometimes it needs to be. And sometimes that's just a season you're in. But, I love that you're like, sometimes the fun feeling is subtle. It's not outward. It's just a little thing on the inside that's still there. Mm-hmm. Love that. Okay. So you mentioned weightlifting. Let's get into it.
Yes.
All right. You started Olympic weightlifting at 41. And you weren't like a college athlete or don't have that background. Love this. So walk me back to the moments or the decisions or the cluster of events that got you to say yes to doing that.
Yeah, I got into Olympic weightlifting through CrossFit. They're two, like CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting are two different sports, but CrossFit has opened the door for more people to know about Olympic weightlifting because that's a part of the workouts.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of the coaches I knew had coaches, and I was like, a CrossFit coach has a weightlifting coach? Tell me more.
Yeah.
So then I had a friend program for me because I was like, I want to be more proficient at these like weightlifting movements. But I like, it takes some time and a lot of good reps to get proficient. So she programmed for me, and a friend in town had seen some of the stuff I had shared in my stories. And she's like, oh, you want to maybe like do a master's competition internationally? And I was like, what does it involve? And she's like, these are your numbers. This is what you work towards. You do have to qualify, but she's like, you can join a club. I lift at this place. And I was like, okay, maybe. And I didn't think it was for me. I just was like, nah, not interested. And, but there was a local competition coming up in August, and I was like, well, if my husband's off and I don't like childcare is not a pain, I can sign up for that thing and start training for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he ended up like his work schedule changed, but I already signed up with that club and started training for it. And so whatever. Well, my kids ended up coming to the competition. It was fine. And I had a lot of fun. I realized that wearing a singlet and standing in front of everybody like wasn't that bad. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me see if I can qualify for this international competition. So that first local meet was in August. And then from then on until March, that was like I was working towards trying to qualify for Greece
Mm-hmm.
in the Little Rock Masters competition, because there's two weightlifting federations in the US. So the one that sends people to the Olympics, I am not in that one. I'm in a different one. It's a Masters Federation. So everybody is over age 30.
Okay.
So yeah, I had two goals. My reach goal was Greece, and then my accessible goal was Japan. I did not make Japan, but that's okay. So the whole journey was we're going to try to do something for ourselves. And I realized that I actually liked having to be disciplined because I was already doing it. Like I was going to CrossFit 4 to 5 times a week. I had, with perimenopause and symptoms fluctuating and my body changing, I had to scale that back.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked having to have something to work towards that felt accessible.
Yeah.
And that I could see progress of like getting stronger and appreciating the ups and downs of like, progress is not linear. I'm not going to like be amazing every single time I practice. Sometimes I'm like, what happened to the barbell? It's like 50 pounds heavier.
No. Right.
And I slept great and I ate, and it's just like not lifting like it lifts.
My watch says this should be good and it's not good.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So that's how I got into it. And people who make it look easy are like really good.
Right. Right.
So I remember like the coach I had at the time, I was like, hey, what can I do to like lift like that? And he's like, they've been doing it for decades. I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Just curious. So,
what's the one move? What do I need to fix? Tell me not the quick fix, the silver bullet. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
We all have that inside of us, don't we?
Oh yeah. And it's funny because, helping people with chronic like pain or chronic pelvic floor issues, I always am saying, there's no quick fix. Our bodies are not an Amazon Prime package. It's not going to like you order it and it'll be here in like 2 hours.
It's not fair.
It takes a lot of time. And there's other factors that some of the things that are like out of our control is on like how fast we will progress. So there were a lot of parallel processes in just appreciating like if I do want to see myself get better, I do need to show up in the little ways on a regular basis and not just stop.
Yep.
I mean, I could stop, but I didn't want to.
Yeah. I think that's so beautiful. And as someone who's been a lifelong athlete, there's nothing like sport to teach you every metaphor for regular life and your work that you could possibly ever dream of. And it's not like when you go into sport, no matter what age, it's not like you're like, yes, I'm here for the ups and downs and trials and tribulations, and I'm so excited about that.
Right.
No, you find out, because there's no way anyone can predict when your watch is going to be like, yeah, you slept great and your HRV was great, but look, you feel like garbage today. No one can predict how that's going to go, no matter how well you prepare and do everything, by the book. So what's interesting about, you said you actually realized you kind of like the discipline and standing up in front of people, which can feel so vulnerable, I imagine. And there's, the fun, goofy side of you. So how does it feel to be on this, like, visibly and also mentally and internally very intense type of platform, so to speak? I mean, literally, you're living on a platform.
Yeah, it is. I got to embody a transformation that I hope my clients feel. So, and the transformation is going from feeling like you're really distracted from the chaos around you to being able to focus. The chaos is still there, but like you're unbothered by it.
Mm-hmm.
And so my best meet leading up to the Little Rock meet was great. A lot of my friends from CrossFit were there to watch one of our other coaches. I was like, the community is very small. So like it felt like it was a practice meet. It didn't mean anything official. Although I did my best that I've ever done. And that was a nice surprise. But yeah, there was a lot going on. But I could like get in my zone and find my flow and focus. I remember one of my last lifts just smiling or walking up to the platform and like they were playing music and I was like, okay, cool. This is what I do when I'm listening to music, because music is one of those things that's not always guaranteed at these competitions. But I was like, oh, they're playing a song I liked. So I felt really relaxed and I like grabbed the bar and I smiled and then I could just like be in my body. And yeah, that felt really nice, because with weightlifting, the goal is to lift heavy. That's how you qualify. You can't qualify at warm-up weights, at least at my age.
Yeah, right.
For my age and weight class, it's a heavy number. So there's a level of controlled intensity that needs to happen to complete the lift successfully. So I had to learn how to like be fierce. Aggression is another term that's used. I'm really fortunate that I have my therapist is a sports psychologist. So we talked about instrumental aggression, where like a race wrestler, they will have to like, take someone down, but they may be the sweetest person off the mat. So, but aggression is a term that it doesn't vibe with me the best. Like I can do it when I need to, but fierce and just being strong intensity to like, okay, this is heavy. My whole body needs to like be ready for this. And that was cool to learn. So when I came back to doing CrossFit more regularly, I was like yelling and growling, and it was actually really fun. One of my coaches was like, yeah, because we were doing bench press and he spotted me and he's like, push like you're pushing someone away from you. I was like, I can do that. And he's like, okay, I got you. But it's just like being able to move the bar and not think about it being heavy. Because yeah, in those quick sports, like thinking is not it doesn't help you. It works against you.
Yeah. Fierceness instead of aggression. Like the clinical word is aggression, right? The sort of technical nervous system word might be aggression. But fierceness has such a different embodiment. And I feel like it's a little more playful. Honestly, it's got a lightness to it in a way. Also, I feel like, as female identifying, woman identifying people, we're cultured not to be fierce or aggressive. Going back 6-7 years to that moment in the clinic, that was fierce. That was fierceness. That was like you saying, no, we're not, I'm going to go home and wipe my own kids' butts. That's fierceness. That no, no, I'm not going to go to the thing that looks like self-care, but actually would make me feel worse. That's a form of fierceness. I mean, we could just say that's the root of all boundaries. But I love this energy of push a person away, like permission, access that part of you. I'm curious. I was just thinking about how it must be. I know how it is for me, having been an athlete and needing to access that part of myself. When you're guiding someone who's preparing for birth, when you're, like you said about the clients who have chronic pain, the ups and downs, and it's not linear, but I'm curious about bringing the fierceness into how you coach people or guide them or whatever it is in both PT and coaching.
Yes. I love that question so much. So the birthing body is the ultimate mighty morphing Power Ranger. So when you tap into your body's like power engine, like so the uterus, like, and you work with it and not against it, like you can be fierce, you can be loud, you can be big. I've only been to my own births, and I have a lot of friends in the community who are doulas. And so just learning that, some of how women are socialized shows up in labor. So like people pleasing, or maybe someone tells you to be quiet and like don't make noise. So I try to positively inoculate my clients to be like, okay, this is your time to like be big, be loud. There's a James Brown say, I'm Black, I'm proud.
Yeah.
So, but to like really just tap into that. So like when we practice pushing in like all different positions, not just the one they like, just like any position, so that they have confidence in the one that they know that their body's good at, but it also carries over to the one that they don't do so good in, because that usually is what might be available to them at the time. It's like being on your back. No one really likes that, but like I'll let them know you can have a beautiful, powerful birth on your back. There's nothing to be scared about. We just, prepare for it. And it's been really cool. I have some women who are like, they take ownership of that. They're like, oh yeah, no, I don't people please. And I can tell they're asking good questions. It's like how you ask in this clinic is like, you need to have a list for your OB, and they always rotate unless they're having like a birth center or a home birth. So it's like you see a different OB, you ask them these same questions, because that's going to give you that like confidence for a little bit of that uncertainty. Like, okay, cool. Like this is a scenario that maybe it's hospital policy and it's not what I want, but I know that I can handle it.
Yes.
And when the husbands or partners come to the sessions too, I also let them know you probably will not have ever seen your wife in this way. So your job is to let her know she's doing an amazing job. And like some of them have had the background of being a coach or being an athlete. So like, and I was like, who a good coach is. They like lift you up when you're at your lowest moment. So that is what you're doing here. And it's a lot of fun. But when I kind of bring in the sports analogies, and every once in a while I'll get somebody who likes Transformers or action heroes too.
Rangers. I love it. I love a good metaphor too. So good. So good. I feel like my husband would be so on board with Transformers.
Yeah.
Not that I've birthed a baby, but for anything else,
Yeah, it came up because my son, my 8-year-old, he was like, so how do babies actually get out of you? He's like, I know where pee and poop comes out, but it's like, where do babies come? So, I was making it age appropriate. And then he was like, ew, that's gross. I was like, wait a second. Like, this is literally a transformer.
So cool.
This is what's happening. And then of course, my 11-year-old, she's a girl. She came over and she's like, tell me more.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. This is how all birth education needs to be.
Yes, it could be that simple.
Yeah. May not land with everyone, but I think it could be very accessible for a lot of people, children included. Yes. Love that. Okay. Speaking of your youngest, all right, we're pivoting to family.
Yes.
Your youngest is starting kindergarten this year. How does that feel? Tell me about it.
Yeah, it feels too soon. And I guess it's like marking a new chapter, right?
Yeah.
One of the things when I had one kiddo, I was like, I wanted to be able to spend time with my kids in the morning before they go to school or before I go to work, before we go to daycare. So with one, it looked like we sit down, we eat breakfast, and that's evolved as more kids have come and grown up. So now he's the last one in the mornings with me. And so that's where I'm like, what am I going to do with my mornings? And I know I'll be okay. But yeah, that feels like a big adjustment to have more time margin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I have been working with a couple of clients recently who are moms, and their kids have crossed a threshold. like whether it's toddlerhood into school age or graduating from school and going to college or starting to drive is one where that is a real dissonant moment of what do I do? Wait, what do I do? And what an unknown, what a threshold, something's birthing again.
Yes.
Interesting. I feel like just knowing you and knowing that you've had so much experience and practice with knowing what you want and what you value and building the expectation around you can't do it all, but you can do what you want inside of, parenting and all of that kind of stuff and already building that infrastructure. I feel like the world is your oyster in a way, like in a good way. Like it's not going to feel so overwhelming to you, this new blank space of, I don't know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's interesting because and I know that each quarter or semester it'll change.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Like, it'll be totally different by Christmas time.
There will still be Maycember. There will still be class parties. That's right. There will be more of them now.
Yes.
I know. It's like less of it is curated by you at this point. You kind of get to go for the ride a little bit more. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to practice saying, no, we won't be doing that.
Yeah. Well, each kid is in a different school location right now. So this year I got the best at saying no for things that I've ever, just because it's like literally cannot be at two places. And then also helping the kids with the expectation. Because Maycember, like end of school year parties. We have in June, there's like 4 parties in a row, school related, sports related, banquets. So I let my oldest know, I was like, okay, I need you to pick one. And she's like, why? I was like, because your dad's working and therefore I can only get you to one place. And your brother has some things. And then so like giving that explanation, because I guess kids modulating their fun is like harder than adults. As adult, I
100%. Yeah.
have fun all the time, but I will schedule it to make sure it happens. Whereas for kids, that's like their life.
Bringing it back to just mirroring back that letting them learn and modeling how to self-regulate and co-regulate with you and with their siblings around disappointment and FOMO, right? Like, yeah, I do feel FOMO. You're going to feel FOMO. You might be disappointed. You might hate me for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And you're strong and you're okay. And we're all going to be okay. And we're going to get through it. There's this great, I don't know if you follow Dr. Becky at Good Inside.
I don't know if I do. Yeah.
She's a Duke grad. I just heard her speak at Duke, one of my mini trips to Duke out your way this year so far. And she's a big proponent of letting kids feel FOMO and disappointment and failure and all of that. And not even like, here, let me help you feel better. Like, we're not going to calm the bad feelings. Not that they're bad, but you know what I mean? The big feelings about it. We're going to be in them together. Let's just be here with it and learn that we're capable humans of having capacity for it. And I love that because they then get to grow up and be the person who learns to say no when something's enticing or they feel like they should be there or, they need to say no to the patient who is all of the things, right, that we've said in this episode so far. What a valuable, valuable lesson. Even when you think you could do it, saying, actually, no, because we're going to be strung out and tired after. And I don't want to be. It's not how I want to feel. That's not fun.
Correct. Yes. Some of the best lessons are learned through experience.
Yeah.
And I, like many women, I'm very high capacity. And I have proven that and now recognize that it's okay to not have to do that anymore.
Yeah. And it's okay to say yes and realize later that was a miss for me. I misfired. Yes. That's a hard one too, to not like go into shaming yourself for saying yes when you really probably should have said no. Because sometimes you don't know until you try it.
Yes.
Like you said. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So let's shift into, speaking of fun, this might be our favorite part, the lightning round. These are the questions that have nothing to do with anything and everything to do with everything that we've just talked about. Are you ready for them?
Yeah. So I have to, lightning means they'll come fast.
It means give me what comes.
Okay.
Even if it's like word vomit. You're like working through it out loud. They're fun. They're light. They're not like super serious. Okay. Number 1, If you could be any animal other than a human, what would it be and why?
Ooh, I would be a jaguar.
Ooh.
Yeah, they are fierce.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think too many people can bother them.
Fierce, unbothered, elegant though,
Yes. Yes.
Sneaky. I feel like there's a conniving thing there that's sort of fun, right? Mischief. Oh yeah, I'm here for it. Okay, number 2. You could get a drink with 2 people, living or passed on. Who would they be and why? What would you ask them?
Oh, wow. A drink with 2 people. Also, I'm watching the NBA finals and I'm going to throw some basketballers out there. Probably Dawn Staley.
Yes.
And then to add into the mix, let's invite Giannis. I'm not going to say his last name correctly. Temkupko. He is a Greek Nigerian basketball player. He plays on the Bucks. He's pretty funny from what I've seen. So I would have those 2.
I want to come to this party.
Yes.
So many questions. This would be so fun. Okay, love that. Number 3. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Not a pizza I'm going to eat.
Okay. But you're okay with it being on other people's pizza?
Yeah, it could be on other people's pizza. And I mean, I would not order a Hawaiian or a pineapple, but I wouldn't do that on purpose.
Fair. If it showed up in front of you and you didn't have a choice, you would eat it. Okay. It's not repulsive to you. Like culturally, I interviewed an Italian person and they were like, no, and I'm judging you if it's on there. I love that. Okay. Number 4. It's an average Friday night and I'm a fly on the wall watching you somewhere. What are you doing? What's going on?
I'm probably stretching, so foam rolling, trying to stay in a deep squat.
I do that too. I know.
And either watching reruns of Scrubs or
the NBA. Circling back. You're a fangirl. Love this.
I stopped watching it for a very long time and then started watching it this year, and it's a different game.
Yeah.
So it's just like the athleticism is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. All right, NBA and stretching or watching reruns of Scrubs.
Yes.
Sounds like a great Friday night. What are your kids doing?
If the NBA is on, my 5-year-old is watching with me, and the other 2 are in bed.
Great. Everyone's got their own rhythm. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, final question. What is a trait or habit or obsession of yours that people might find weird, questionable, quirky, nuanced, just, totally you, but that people might look side-eyed at a little bit?
To listen and watch birds. And clouds, actually clouds. That would be probably the things that people are like, we watch clouds. I like a big fluffy cloud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I love the conviction of, I like a big fluffy cloud. Ooh, that's hard for me to say for some reason. Words. Amazing. Okay, so you're gazing at the sky, watching birds and fluffy clouds. Something about the sky and the flying and the...
Yes, and if the clouds are parted just right with the sun rays, it just feels like beam me up Scotty moment, like take me.
That is like a chef's kiss moment for sure, especially when there's like also some color in the sky and the sun rays are just... Oh, yeah. If you're not stopping to notice that, what are you doing in life?
Yeah. I don't like driving, but if there's a good cloudy, it's going to rain in a couple hours.
Yes.
I'm good. Yeah.
We're like just after the storm too, it's like the front and back side of the storm. Yeah. It's supposed to rain for like a week. I don't know if at this part of North Carolina it is. I don't know about yours. So this is the invitation to look out at the sky.
Yeah. Ooh, good to know. Yes. Like I usually
reminder.
Check
I'm reading this book, Theo of Golden, which is like a pretty popular fiction book that's out right now. And the character sits and watches the sunset every night. He watches it over water. And there is this line about how the sun has been here for obviously millennia. It's always the same sun, but the sunset is never the same. And there's just this watching it as the sky changes, as the clouds change, as the seasons change, as, watching it reflect on the water. Just like it's his commitment to himself to never miss a sunset, no matter where he is.
And I've seen that book at the bookstore, so now I'm intrigued.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I really like it so far. As someone I'm from the American South and I'm from Georgia, and it's set in like Southern Georgia. Yeah, beautiful book. All right. Well, thank you for being such a fun participant on the lightning round. Tell us where to get in touch with you, anything you want me to put in the show notes to share, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we can connect on social media.
Yeah.
So my handle will be in the show notes. And then my office is in Durham, and then as health coaching, I help people around the world. But the one portal to me would be radiancept.com.
Perfect. Okay. So let's make sure you guys are following Mbong on social media. She has great videos on Instagram, which I have been loving. And then go to radiancept.com, especially if you're anywhere in the world and you are looking for a coach who's going to help you be fierce.
Yes.
With whatever it is you're facing. Amazing. Well, thank you for being here, and we will have to stay in touch.
Yes. Thank you.